As we mentioned, the federal government is launching a $350 billion small business lending effort today. But hours before the program was set to go into effect, some of the country's biggest banks weren't prepared for the flood of applications that came in. I want to turn now to Sibile Marcellus. She's a reporter for Yahoo Finance, and she joins me now from New York City to talk about the lending program. Sibile, before we get into the rocky start of this program, I want to ask you really step back for a second and get a sense of really who's eligible for these loans and what do they hope to get from these loans?
So those who are eligible are small businesses that have 500 employees or less. Now let's remember, this is $349 billion that have been made available through the $2 trillion fiscal stimulus package. And businesses that qualify range from nonprofits to veterans organizations to sole proprietorships. Now, what these businesses have to prove is that on February 15th, they were in business and that the coronavirus did affect their bottom line. Now, they will have to prove how many employees they have, because if they actually keep those people on their payroll, then those loans will eventually be forgiven.
I want to ask you a little bit more about that, Sibile. There's a sense that some of these business loans could be partially or fully forgiven. How would this work?
Yes. So in order to get a loan forgiven, what these small businesses need to do is that they have to focus on workers, keep them on their payroll. And you better believe that the lending institutions are going to be checking to make sure that they kept the same number of employees they had when they applied for these loans. Now, in terms of making sure that they're forgiven, they also are allowed to make other payments, for example, for mortgages, rents, utilities, and overhead costs. But the focus is really on payroll. The whole point of this is to really stop the job losses that we're seeing across the country.
You know, JP Morgan Chase, as well as Wells Fargo, have already said that they are not going to accept loan applications. Reuters, I'm looking at this, is reporting that other banks are considering not participating at all. How is this going to affect the effort to help small businesses?
Yes, it very much can affect that effort. Let's remember, it's $349 billion that's been set aside, but it's on a first come, first served basis. So these small businesses really have to rush to whatever lending institution is going to give them that money to get it as quickly as possible. Once those $349 billion are depleted, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said that he'll go back to Congress and try to ask for more. In terms of the big institutions that are not participating yet, they're not yet accepting applications. We have the biggest U.S. bank, JP Morgan Chase, that said that they're not ready to do it right away. But Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin tweeted earlier today saying that over $800 million in loan applications started already today, and that some big banks are also going to be processing them today.
Sibile Marcellus with Yahoo Finance. Sibile, thank you very much.
Thanks, Reena.